everyone, and welcome to the next session, today's session of our spring TTR series, Tuesday Times Roundtable. Today's discussion is Cultural Dissonance, Getting Comfortable with the Uncomfortable. My name is Michelle Zaldivar, your Senior Program Coordinator here at the Office of Global Learning Initiatives. TTR is our flagship discussion series that brings together multiple perspectives on current global issues and trends. You can learn more about TTR, watch past recordings, or come back and reference this one at go.fiu.edu/TTR. As a reminder, as we engage in today's session, we ask that everyone use the mics. We'll have 2 roaming mics on this side of the room. So if it is something that's a contribution to the room as a whole so that we can capture it on the recording, let's make sure that we use those microphones. If you haven't had a chance to already, make sure you use the QR code to sign in. They're posted around the room as well. If you're here for any kind of credit, honors college, global learning medallion, maybe a professor referred you, we'll report back your attendance using what we capture on there. And also, as always, this week's article, which is linked to every TTR, is linked to a New York Times article, can be found at go.fiu.edu/TTR0214. That's today's date. I know there was a little issue with the link earlier today, but that's been updated. So if you want to make sure to read the article that today's session is linked to, that Go link is live. So the reason that all TTRs are linked to a New York Times article is because here at FIU we have a formal partnership with the New York Times. So as a student or faculty member or anyone with an @fiu.edu email, you have access to a free digital subscription of the New York Times. So if you go to that short link for today's article and you hit a paywall, all you have to do is go to accessnyt.com, sign up with your @fiu.edu email address, and you'll get your subscription, free digital subscription to the New York Times. I mentioned a little earlier, my medallion students, make sure that you go ahead and do that screenshot or save the PDF of your sign-in so that you can use that on your points log for the sake of your engagement points for the medallion. If I'm mentioning the medallion or the Millennium Fellowship or the Enacting Global Learning micro-credential and you have absolutely no idea what I'm talking about, feel free to hang out after today's session. I and Anna Prado, our Assistant Director, will definitely be here to answer any additional questions that you have and learn more about how you can continue to engage with our office. We also have a GL at FIU info session tomorrow. We're featuring CLS tomorrow. They're going to talk about Rorthon and Omicron Delta Kappa. It is tomorrow, February 15th at 1 p.m. You can register for that at go.fiu.edu/GLinfo. We're also highlighting 2 specific events that we've got going on this week. On Thursday, we're having a yoga mindfulness relief for Turkey and Syria. So we're going to do a little yoga out in the GC lawns at 3:30 on Thursday and spread some information, some awareness about organizations that you can contribute to towards the relief effort for Turkey and Syria after the massive earthquakes that have shaken those communities. We also have on this Friday, 17th is this Friday, the next session of our PB&J initiative where we assemble peanut butter and jelly sandwiches for distribution down in downtown and Opelika area, and we use that to fill some community fridges and distribute those to the hungry. We do that in our office at PC 245.
And it will be Valentine themed,
Oh. So again, those 2 events are this Thursday and this Friday. If you are a medallion student, now is definitely a time to look for capstone opportunities for summer 2023. There are a ton of information sessions happening all over campus. I do not have enough time at the beginning of TTR to tell you all about them, so I highly encourage you, check out our Instagram. We are promoting those live and through the following 2 weeks. So if you're looking for internship, fellowship, any kind of capstone type of opportunity, especially now is a time to apply for summer opportunities. Or you can set up some time to meet with us at go.fiu.edu/GLmeet. Okay, so on to today's session. Today we have Hmway Mai Se Aung is a graduate assistant at the Talent Lab at FIU. Moy is a second-year graduate assistant, currently working with the Talent Lab at FIU in DC. Originally from Myanmar, she received her Bachelor of Arts in Organizational Communications from FIU in 2019, and is currently working on her MS in Higher Education Administration. Quality education is her core belief, and she values effective collaboration with different cultures through education. Altogether, Moy has lived in 8 different countries. She has previous experience in the nonprofit and humanitarian sectors, working with the UN, UNICEF, and ASEC, or do I spell it out? ASEC. ASEC. AEISEC, if you're curious to learn more. With a focus on educational projects. Her work with FIU in DC focuses on career advising for undergraduate students. Please join me in welcoming Moy. I'll get you set up. Yep.
Hi everyone, happy Valentine's Day. How's everyone doing? Good. Feeling loved? Okay. All right. So my name is Moy, and once again, like Mr. Cho introduced me, I'm a graduate student here, and I'm a FIU alum. So I'm about to be a FIU 2-time alum. This is my last semester, so I'm graduating, and I'm very excited. So let me get started with sharing a little bit about myself. So I have lived in 8 different countries: Myanmar, United States, Mexico, Vietnam, Singapore, Dominican Republic, Colombia, Ecuador. But I have traveled more than 10 countries overall. So let me tell you how I got here. So back in 2019, I graduated from FIU, and when you graduate, you just thought you're gonna get a job. And I already secured a UN project lineup in Chile in like June, I believe. So I was like, I've never been to Caribbean, and I'm one of my really good friends living in Dominican Republic. So I was like, well, why don't I go check out DR? I've never been there. And then I was like, well, I'm going to go to DR, and then I have my project, and then after that I'm going to keep traveling around doing different projects in humanitarian sector or nonprofit. But then I got to DR February, and then in March, well, you all know what happened in 2020. COVID hit. And the whole world got shut down, and I was like, well, I'll be able to fly back. I went to the airport shut down. So I was kind of like, all right, cool. Well, this is it. And then my project apparently just got canceled because they can't do anything about it. So everything literally get canceled out. And when you're a fresh graduate, you just thought you're going to get a job, but there is no job, nothing. So I was kind of like, well, since I don't know what my next step is, I'm just going to stay in Dominican Republic and figure out my next step. And then later along the line, then I found my master program and I decided to go back to school. So that's kind of how I ended up right now where I'm supposed to be, I guess. That wasn't my plan. So my thing is, sometimes like you will think something or like you plan something, but it kind of like takes turn, and it's okay. So that's where I'm at. And some of my like fun facts that I want to share is I speak Myanmar, English, and Spanish, and I can get around like Italian and French a little bit here and there. And then I'm a foodie. So if you take me to a country or a city, I would Google up the food, and I would literally go to certain places to go eat that food. I'm that passionate about food. I don't know why. And next is I love activities and parties because it's kind of like an excuse to like gather everybody around and like, food and drinks and everything. So I love that about it. And then I'm obsessed with alpacas. I don't know if you have like seen it. Oh my God, I'm like obsessed with it. It just looking at them just makes me happy. So that was the picture in Ecuador. I was at Laguna de Quilotoa, and then there was alpaca, and I was like, oh my God, and I was just like hugging them and didn't let go for a few minutes. But all my friends were like, okay, calm down now. You got enough of it. So that's about me, and here are some photos, and I try to put more photos, but a lot of the old photos are like somewhere in the hardware, so I couldn't get some, but I have some of them on my social media and stuff too if you want to check it out later. So the left is my Ecuadorian host family, the middle one when I was in Colombia, and then to the right it's the 2 little refugees. They came from Venezuela, and I was doing working with Venezuelan refugees in Ecuador. So that was some of the pictures. And now, like I mentioned, I love activities, so I'm gonna encourage you all to do a little activity. So this is a human bingo time, and also I brought some chocolates if that makes you a little motivated. So please feel free to grab some chocolates, and then there should be some bingo passed around, and I'm going to give you some few minutes. So please get up and get to know each other. If you find someone, make a text, or if you have more questions, I don't have any more. But like, if you speak, if you ask somebody, speak more than two language, feel free.
So essentially on that side, the papers are stacked up and kind of.
Yes. If you feel free to get up and get around, feel free to do so.
Absolutely. So I'll set off a timer so that we can try to see who gets at least the farthest, the quickest.
Quickest.
And if you want to come grab some snacks up front or up here, moist chocolates, that would be perfect. And go.
And here's some chocolates too, if anybody wants chocolate. Yes. Want some chocolate? First three. You're supposed to talk to different person. What? Okay, quick. You got some time? Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
So for me, like there are so many, there are people who have never tried like Turkish food. All right, everyone. Thank you. All right. I hope some of you are getting to know each other. Oh, you good? Okay. All right. So who got everyone's name well, not everyone's name, but all the blocks filled? Did you find everyone that? Well, you're supposed to find each person. I don't know if that made it clear, but so can you? What's your name? Vianney. Vianney, can you please tell me who has lived in another country?
Hello. Kitani. She was wonderful. She says she just moved here in August from the Virgin Islands, which was super dope.
Oh, wow. You're from Virgin Island. Kitani. Okay. How is the Virgin Island like?
It's a small island, group of islands. There's the U.S. Virgin Islands and then the Virgin Islands, which is British. It's a very tight-knit, small community. Everybody knows everybody. If you're not related to everyone, you're related to somebody who's related to another person. It's
Everybody knows everybody.
yeah, it's a really nice, small, cute island.
And would you say that the beaches over there are more beautiful than here?
Definitely.
Definitely. It's just a rhetorical question, just wondering. Thank you, Katani. And can you please tell me did you find someone who has experienced culture shock? No? Didn't find it? Okay, that's okay. Thank you. And excuse me, hi, what's your name? Lucas. Lucas, did you find anyone, their favorite country they have visited?
Yeah, I found Melissa. Her favorite country was the Dominican Republic.
Oh, cool. Awesome. All right, anybody wants to share that you found someone that got your attention or a pretty interesting answer? No? Yeah, go ahead. What's your name?
She
What's
told
your
me
name?
that so my name is Viviana. This is Natalie. Natalie told me that she speaks 3 to 4 languages, and it's Spanish on a good day, Romanian, Haitian Creole, and English, which I thought was really cool. I'm very interested in languages, so to have such a variety, I thought it was really impressive.
Wow, that's very cool. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. All right, anyone else want to share your input? Anything else? All right, cool. So this activity, the purpose of this activity is just to warm up the room and just get to know each other, find interesting facts in one another. So that is the activity. And next, moving on. I want to start building up with cognitive dissonance theory. Anybody familiar or heard of it? You want to share a little bit?
Sure. Okay, so cognitive dissonance, from at least what I understand, is when you have two conflicting thoughts, ideas, beliefs, or attitudes that you have trouble reconciling. Because obviously, if they conflict, like, you cannot simultaneously believe that there is a God and then no God. Like it's you can't have two opposite beliefs. But when you do, and trying to reconcile that, it's like cognitive dissonance.
And what's your name?
Isabel.
Isabel. Thank you, Isabel, for elaborating on that. Yes, something that is you're having a conflicted feeling when you're about to make a decision. As simple as you have the homework to do, and then you kind of want to go out. So you start feeling that dissonance that, oh, I really want to go out, but then I have to do homework. So that feeling emerges, and then it kind of causes to change your behavior or attitude. So that is called cognitive dissonance theory, and I use that theory for my undergrad, one of the research papers that I did, and I formed that theory in a way that it's about the topic that I use of managing difficult conversations. So when people tend to have it like a dissonance when they're about to have like difficult conversations, or giving feedback or firing someone, or even like friends and families too, when you're about to have a difficult conversation, breaking up with someone, or about to tell someone that a bad news, you start feeling that cognitive dissonance. And it's completely normal. Absolutely normal. Everybody feels it, and you can cope it to overcome it. And moving on to next. So here are some examples that I would like to share that walking culture and food that I've experienced doing from my experiences is working culture. When I was working in Vietnam, they tend to be very detail-oriented. They want to know like exactly what we're doing, what time are we going to be doing what. And it's kind of, me and my teammate was Dutch, and we quite think that it's like very, like on our neck, like, oh my God, one thing after another. But from where we come from in our culture, it's like a little chill and laid back, and like as long as we know what we're doing, they don't tend to like asking very detailed questions about it. But that's the Vietnamese culture, I believe. And then on Colombia, when I was working, for example, they're a little time when it comes to time. For example, when the meeting it's 1 hour, it can go on to 1:30. It can go to like a little. And for me, it's like, you said it's gonna end at 1, but it's like 1:30, But then it's like normal for them if they have a little bit more things to discuss. I guess they continue discussing that, and then also certain things that they will be like late payment or late this, but then they come up with like, explanation this and that. But here, if you're late, you're late. No excuses. But for them, it's like, and then also when I tell them, I won't be able to make it this day or that, and they require detail on like, why is that a reason? For me, it's like, it's, personal. I wouldn't be explaining you detail on what, but for them, it's like they kind of require to like, can you tell me a little bit more about why you can make it, etc. So that it's a little, for me, it's like, but then I appreciate the work, the positive side of it. They're very understanding and flexible. So I love that part about it. And then when it comes to food, one thing that I experienced in Mexico, it's like when I asked, picante, they would be like, oh, no. When I eat it, it is picante. So that is something. And also in Colombia, I had that, I don't know how to call it, but it's like intestine. And in Ecuador too. And then also they have the bloody sausage that I tried. And I was just so uncomfortable. I did not like it. So I was experiencing cultural dissonance in that sense, I guess. However, I just tried it, but I told them that not again. I tried it, but not again. So those are some of the experiences. And I would like to hear about some of your experiences that you have experienced in maybe different states, not even to have to different country, maybe in different states. For example, really to add that a little bit, in New Orleans, they have, alligators, frog legs, and I'm like, I'm not that adventurous on food, so I did not try that, but if you have anything to share, I would like to hear a couple. Please tell me your name as well, so I know Lucas and some too. Yes, sir, go ahead. What's your name?
My name's Ralph. And last year I went to Liberia for a vacation. It's in West Africa. And apparently, like, the water there is not good if you're not, like, from there. So I had to, like, brush my teeth with a bottle of water every day. And I thought that was
like
kind of...
drinking water?
Yeah.
Oh.
So, like, I would have to, like, pour the water on my toothbrush.
And how does that make you feel?
I felt bad for I guess, the people there, because sometimes the water makes them sick as well. But they're more used to it because they live there. But it's not good water at all. So I was upset about that.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Anyone else? Oh, yes. And then you.
Hi, my name is Andres.
Andres.
And one experience was when I was studying abroad in Spain. I lived in Madrid for 4 months. And one of the culture shocks that I experienced was
Spain, which city?
Madrid.
Madrid.
And one of the experiences was dinner time because...
What is it? Dinner time?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Basically that their dinner time is super late. I would say like 10 p.m. That's...
Oh,
yeah.
10 p.m.
So for me, getting used to that was kind of weird. But I think what hit me was coming back to the States after 4 months, that I was so used to that time that it would be 7 p.m. and my parents would be like, oh, it's dinner time. And I'll be like, it's too early for that.
Early?
So
what's your dinner time right now?
It's around 8, I would say.
Oh, you kind of like put it in the middle.
Yeah, because
late,
usually it's 7, but depends on like my school schedule. So if I come late, it would usually be 8. Sometimes on the weekends I do go back to 10 p.m. because I wake up late or I just don't feel late. But it was definitely an experience to kind of just readjust back once I came back.
Okay, thank you, Anders. And I heard that in Italy, they take, I don't know, Italy or France, I'm not sure, but they said they take a lot of long nap time. Is it true? Or...
I don't know if it was like a lunch break, but it seemed definitely longer. But it would be like, let's say, from like 2 to 5. And a lot of people, when we talked to them about it, saying, yeah, because when we first got there, we were like, wait a minute, we're kind of hungry, like we need to find a place to eat. And be like, oh no, this is like the rest time. They take some time to either rest, whether that's sleep, whether that's eating, whether that's spending time with family, and then they reopen and then they close early again. So that's what I saw, but I'm not exactly sure.
Sure. Okay. Yes. And go ahead. Kiana. So you say it again? Katani. Okay, Katani.
So when I went to Costa Rica one summer, back home we had this group and we would travel to different countries for the summer and immerse in the culture. So we went to Costa Rica and we have rice and beans back home. We call it rice and peas, but it's not peas, it's kidney beans. Don't ask. And in Costa Rica, they serve gallo pinto, rice and beans, with every meal. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So even if you order pancakes, you're going to get a side of rice and beans. And that was so strange. And another thing for me is now, like when you said when you're late, you're late. Back home, I don't know what it is, but an event would say starting 3 o'clock, and everybody will trickle in 4 and 5 o'clock because it hasn't started.
Does it say like the Caribbean time or something?
It's Caribbean time. We always late.
Always late. Yes. From some of my Caribbean friends told me too, if the party starts at 5, it means that people will arrive at like 6:30. Yeah. That's like the culture. One more. Yes, please.
Hi, my name is Marissa.
Marissa.
So I guess my follow-up story is also related to Costa Rica. So I guess one of the bigger culture shocks that I had, so the town that I was living in, Samara, is it's like a small beach town. And so, I'm from Miami, so I'm very much used to the city. I'm used to the hustle, the bustle. And so going from that to like this very laid back, mañana mentality, right? Everything happens later, was a huge shift. The other thing was the town that I was in didn't have proper plumbing. So you did not flush things down the toilet. So that was definitely a rough, but it was cool.
For sure. Okay. Thank you for sharing, Marissa. Yes, absolutely. So I have experienced like different culture, different things. And even like now, like Michelle mentioned, I work for FIU in DC, and we take a group of students to DC all the time. And then, we always try to remind you, DC is going to start everything right on time. They don't start in Miami time, so please be on time. So even DC and Miami, it's a little different. So, and a last example that I want to share is the racial dissonance that I encounter. So in Latin American countries, when I say, I'm originally from Myanmar, and then sometimes I would just say I'm from the States because I wouldn't want to explain like long, and they have to like go over and over. And one time in a taxi, me and my friend, he's from Texas, but he's Mexican, and we're in a taxi, and the taxi driver's like, oh, where are you guys from? And my friend's like, oh, Estados Unidos, from the States. And then he goes, but you both don't look like Americans. And I wasn't born in America, so I didn't get offended, but he was born and raised in Texas, and he was like, what do you mean? So for those countries, they kind of think that, just white or black, or very typical, stereotype American. So Americans look like I think they're not aware that Americans look like anybody else. So that was kind of like encountering. I'm like, do you really they're only I want to go after it, but then sometimes at the same time I try to think from their side. They have never been outside of the country, so I just try to think from their side and try to have a conversation in a way that they will feel comfortable, and I will also try to learn something from their point of view. So that's how I overcome the dissonance for that. So next slide that we have. So some tips that I would like to share is it's okay to say no. Back to my bloody sausage that I tried. Next time they were like, would you like to try again? No, thank you. You don't have to be very like, oh my God, I hate this. Like, you don't have to be like that, but you can simply just say no, and everybody's okay with that. And another thing that I cannot try is, I don't know why, I don't know if you have anybody like that too. I can't not eat sushi, the raw one, but I like ceviche. I don't know, ceviche tastes a little different than the raw sushi. Next thing is set your boundaries. Even when it comes to work or important things, you have to be there. You got to let them know ahead of time that, there are things that you're okay with, and there are things that you are not okay with. But simply communicate openly and effectively. Next thing is learn or ask about their culture like beforehand. I mean, simplest way it's looking up on YouTube or Googling, asking your friends who have been to the country before. That way it makes it a little easier for you to make adjustment to it. And next, know how to make adjustments. I'm not sure about other Latin countries, but I noticed very clearly in Ecuador that when the food is here, they don't wait for others. So I'm from a culture that here, like when the food is here, if your food is here but your friend's food is not here, we kind of wait to, get food together. But over there, like when your food is here, you start eating. So kind of don't really know, but, I kind of catch up to it. And then last thing, there are things that you might not be okay with, and there are things that you might be completely against it. But it's okay, and you just got to make adjustment to it and appreciate the culture. Look at the beautiful side of it. Wow, this kind of, brings you the joy out of it. Just find the joy from the culture itself, and I promise you will be able to appreciate the culture, of grateful that you got to know that culture. And I believe that every culture has their own beauty. So next, here are some steps if you ever want to travel to abroad or for living abroad in some ways. First, language. If they speak English, if you're going to UK or Australia, that's perfectly okay. You don't need to pick up another language. But if you're going to somewhere that speaks completely different, then I would recommend, picking up hello or thank you. So let me tell you a little story about my language story. So in FIU undergrad, I took Spanish class. I finished up to intermediate, 201 or 102, or I don't know. But it was intermediate class. So I thought, my Spanish is great. I finished intermediate. And my first trip to Mexico was coming up. So I'm like, I'm going to speak Spanish over there. I was so confident about it. And then I got to Mexico, and I realized that I can only say, hola, ¿cómo está? And thank you. And then they would speak, the taxi driver would be like, tú hablas español, da, 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 da. See? But I didn't understand anything because I thought in class, you don't really talk or speak. So I'm kind of memorizing every ending to change and stuff. So I didn't have that connection with it. So what I have to start doing was I have to start repeating the words with. So my host family was good thing with my host family is that they would point me to things and like, point things and then say it in Spanish, and they don't speak any English at all. So that really helps me to like start picking up language, and then I would go to like parties and stuff, and then I do my introduction like all over again, repeat, and repeat. So kind of like, same thing. So that's how I learned Spanish, and I kind of pick it up. So my Spanish is a little broken, but I can communicate and get by fine. But that's one thing. If you think you can speak well, try it again. Speak with the native. And then next is budget. So, even though you think you would estimate, okay, this might be my budget, add a little more, because if not, you're going to have to start struggling, and there are always things that you didn't think that you'd be spending. So add a little more to your budget, like an emergency fund or so. And then next, so how I did it was, I was in undergrad, I was broke, so I couldn't afford study abroad. So what I did was I joined ISET organization, and I started doing like taking on projects. So some of them are volunteering, some are, you don't have to pay for it, and then some, because some they like if you do it long term, I believe you even get a salary back. But if you're just doing a volunteering like 2 months, you just stay with your host family, meal cover, everything. So I did it through ISEC, and then another project that I was doing was in Chile. It was also educational project. I did a lot of educational projects, teaching or working with university students, personal development trainings, working with refugees, things like that. And then Peace Corps is a very good, if you're American citizens, Peace Corps is a great way to start as well. And then next is study abroad. Obviously, study abroad programs are great as well because it's all structured and you have insurance and everything covered. So study abroad is next way. And then there's another one that I found I was going to do, but I didn't get a chance to do it. It's like they kind of like compensate for your work. So Selena is a hotel that, you would work at a hotel, and then they kind of compensate for you for your labor, I guess. So there are some ways, and then Workaway is another way. There are a lot of, if you like to teach, and there are a lot of teaching projects happening in many countries because a lot of countries require English teacher. But if you just want to do like outside work or extracurricular stuff, you can also look it up online as well. And then the last part is I encourage everyone who has done projects or travel, I reflect on your experience. If you're just going travel with your friends, a group of friends, try to reflect yourself that what did I learn? What did I experience? What kind of exposure did I get from this trip? And how, like, connection with your friends or family, what did I find most joy from this trip? So reflection, I really encourage everyone to do reflection. And then I have a friend that she would usually print out like some of the best picture and then put it like a board or like, do it your vision so that whenever you see the city. You can even do it on your computer too, like Canva or so, and then all your photos together. I usually I'm not good at it, but I just put like some photos and videos together, like cram everything, and I do like a little trip video, kind of like a vlog, but a professional vlog. So I did like amateur vlog for like Ecuador, Colombia, and did that. So I did my stuff with this. And there are some TED Talk that I really recommend you all to watch is those 3. There are a lot more, and I love TED Talk. So the first one is about culture, and the second one is about secret of learning language, and then the last one is how language shaped the way that we think. And then even like I didn't even think about that because I've never grew up thinking language like L or like feminine, masculine type of, in English we don't have that too, but Spanish, German, Latin languages, they do have those. So there was an example that in bridge, I think, I might be wrong, but German, they would use the bridge as masculine, but then Spanish is feminine. So if you ask a German, that they would main the bridge as like, they would describe it as very strong, like bridge is strong and good. But then if you ask Spanish speaker or like use it feminine, they would describe it as it's very beautiful or like feminine words, it's said in the video. So here are more, and then my quote is, if you believe in yourself and you have faith, you'll figure it out. You might not know what tomorrow brings, or you might not know 6 months, like my story that I told you about in DR. I thought I'm going to have a job, fresh grad, that's how people go, and I thought that's my route going to be too. But once everything tested out, I couldn't see the next thing. But there is a light to it. But if you just have faith in yourself that keep working on something, just take one day at a time, then you will eventually figure it out. So any questions, feel free to follow me on LinkedIn or Instagram and always message me, and I'll be leaving my business card as well. Yes.
I was just wondering, like, what you studied in undergrad and then what you're studying right now.
Yes, absolutely. So undergrad, I was under Carter department. I'm going to say the long name. It's called Bachelor of Arts in Organizational Communication. It's the other name is like Communication Arts and Organizational Study, but we just call it Organizational Communication. So basically, we develop communication strategies for organizations. So that is my undergrad. And then currently, I'm doing higher education. So working with university students, learning about university systems. And then I'm planning to do my doctoral soon, and it's going to be human and organizational learning because I just love about learning. So that's what I'll be doing. Thank you so much. And what are you studying? International. Oh, very cool. Yeah. We have great opportunities for DC, so if you're ever interested, I'll be happy to help you with that. Yeah. Else?
So I have a question. Like,
if you tell your name to everyone. So.
I'm Reggie. Yeah, doing master in education. If you encounter very unexpected things, in your different culture, so how will you cope with that?
First, I acknowledge it. This is something that I'm not used to it, and try to see what can I do next. How can I make adjustment to it when it comes to it? So let's say if there's a situation, let me make up a situation that everybody's like going to a place that I didn't like and I don't feel comfortable about it. I'm gonna let my friend know that, hey, look, like I don't feel comfortable or I don't like it, or explain her first. Firstly, I'm going to acknowledge that I didn't like it, because if even sometimes you don't acknowledge it, you're going to be like, okay, I'm going to be there, but then feel uncomfortable about it being in that situation. So I'm going to tell my friend, and then will excuse myself from that situation. I'm going to go home, or I'm going to go somewhere else. Absolutely. Well, that's the title. So get comfortable with uncomfortableness.
Hi, my name's Emma, and I feel like personally...
Emma.
Yeah, we talked before.
Anna. Oh, maybe because that's Anna, okay.
But, we talked through Zoom one time.
Okay.
But I know for me personally, it's like you feel embarrassed to speak a language because like you feel like you don't have the basics down for it. So since you went to Mexico and you were like learning it alongside everybody else, like you were having help from your host family, so how did you get over, or did you have any like kind of shame or like embarrassment at first, and like how did you get over that to like progress in the language?
Firstly, it's gonna sound a little funny. You gotta be like IDGAF about what I sound like. IDGAF. You're gonna sound stupid, you're gonna sound silly, but hey, if you don't speak, you're gonna pick it up. The only way for language is to speak. You cannot do anything else but to speak. You can watch a lot of videos, you can learn a lot, you can like listen a lot, but if you don't speak it yourself, you're not going to get better. You're going to sound stupid at first. Spanish, first of all, I was speaking like, yo hablo, tú hablo, ella hablo, anything hablo. How stupid is it? And then my friend was like, Moy, you sound so bad. Like, you have to like, whenever I say, my friend will tell me like, tú hablas. Like try to change, and then I gotta like start telling myself, okay, like I'll say it better, and then I would ask them if I don't correct my pronunciation correctly. I would try to like say it again, and I would try to repeat it, or like you can use Google too, Duolingo, Google, all these apps. Try to sound it. First, trust me, you're gonna sound a little out of sight, like a little stupid, silly, but you gotta just you gotta be IDGAF, like how about it.
I have a question.
Yes.
Just because I know Moy a little bit. So it sounds like so many of the strategies that you're talking about also have to do with like the people that you surround yourself with, right? And the support system and the ways that we kind of like support each other. Are there any things that you can share, or maybe that you do, or that you recommend that other people do to create that environment for others as well? So ways that we can support people that are themselves experiencing cultural dissonance and might be in a culture shock when we're in that space.
Can you elaborate a little bit on that?
Yeah, so like what can I do as a person to support someone who's experiencing culture shock or cultural dissonance?
Okay. First, when you're experiencing culture shock, know that it's okay. It's normal. I think, and then if let's say if my friend, it's just try to encourage that person to think from the positive side of it and try to make the person see, look, okay, I know that this is not, you're used to it, but here are the parts that things that are good about it, or their different parts, perspective. Try to let the person to give a chance to think from a different perspective, because perspective matters, and everybody look at things from a different point of view, different perspectives, and letting that person give a chance to think from the other person's side, or the different culture side, it makes a difference, I think. Because sometimes like my friends be saying things and I don't agree, or I don't understand. It could be politics, it could be about something that we talk about in class, and I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about, but I don't do this. But then, all right, tell me more. Tell me more about why you think this way. Just changing your thinking perspective. You might not agree with it, but hey, you kind of understand why that person think of it that way. Yes. Kian, Tatiana. Katani, oh my god, I'm so bad. I'll get it, I promise you. Katani. Okay. And also, after the question, can you also share a little bit about the Virgin Island culture?
Okay. So, you've traveled and lived in different countries.
Yes.
And you primarily live in the U.S. now, right?
Yes.
So, how do you travel or go away for a few months and come back and readjust? When I went home for Christmas, it was really hard to readjust to Caribbean culture. Like I was explaining to her, in the Virgin Islands, when you walk into a room, you have to greet everyone. You say good morning, good afternoon, good night.
Right.
Here, you don't do that, because you say good morning in a classroom and everybody turns around and watch you like, why are you speaking? So things like that, when I went home, I forgot to do that. So it's like, how do you readjust to your primary culture?
Right, absolutely. So what I can say that from my experience is that you're gonna have withdrawals. You're gonna be back where where you came from, and then you're gonna thinking that, oh my god, I miss the food, or I miss my people, I miss that experience. However, you gotta know that it's already in the past and you are where you are now. So if you don't start catching up to like where you are at the moment, then you're not gonna be fully in present. I think being in the present, acknowledging that you are where you are now and what you have to do next in the future, I think that's very important. So memories are good. Withdrawals are also it's necessary, I guess, in a way that to remind you that you had a good time, or you went through a different experience. But acknowledging that, okay, this is where I'm at right now, and I need to be focused on what I need to be fully present. And that's one thing. And then, I just want to add something that I think for culture, if you really want to immerse in that culture, and if you're learning a language, for example, really try to think through in their language. I don't know how to explain it, but when I switch languages, because there are people that say, I got to think this language first, and then I got to switch that language. But when I try to learn or speak switching languages, I can just automatically think through in that language. I don't know kind of how to explain it, but if you start and then I taught English before too, and I told my students don't translate it to Spanish, think through in English directly, and those really helps too, and you kind of get deeper into the culture too. Yes. Oh, and one thing that you wanted to share about.
Okay. What do you want to know?
I don't know. Okay. What's fun thing to do there?
It's mainly sea-based activities. A lot of us just go to the beach on a random day. in the Virgin Islands, we have a lot of speedboats, a lot of catamarans, and on a Sunday, what a lot of people like to do is just go out and sail to a different island and have fun. There's not much to do.
No, that's fair. Island life sounds fun, though.
It's really slow paced. So, like someone said, coming here to Miami was a very different experience because it's very fast, go, go, go. But on the island, it's not that fast. It's very, you get there when you get there.
Okay. Cool. Thank you for sharing. And last question, anyone else? Lily, last one.
Or a share. It doesn't have to be a question.
Yeah.
Maybe it's something about your own experience.
Yes, I would love to know more about it. Yes, please.
Hi, my name is Nasheen. So I came from India to Miami, and Miami has a lot of Spanish people, right? So like half of my class is Spanish speaking people, and most of my friends speak Spanish. So they want me to learn Spanish so that I can understand them. Like there is always a situation where they all are chatting in Spanish and I'm the only one like standing because I don't understand anything. So it's like I'm learning because I want to understand them. And even if you go out like to Walmart or to Publix, there's always the cashier or even if you ask someone, they always reply you in Spanish. And saying like I have to tell them like, can you speak in English, please? Like it's an embarrassing situation for me. So like when you go to a different city or like state, how do you like understand them? Try to adapt that culture.
Right. So, back to my Spanish situation. In the beginning, I didn't understand a single word. I just didn't understand. But once again, when I got to Ecuador, I like all of my how should I say, it's a big group that we do different projects, and everybody they speak Spanish too. They're all from like El Salvador, Nicaragua, like Honduras. They all speak Spanish except me. But I really wanted to talk to them, so I have no choice but to like start picking up and And then if they say and I don't understand, I'm like, what did you say? Say it again slowly. Like I just try to catch up with them. So that's the only way. So I was in the same boat with you, but I promise you, if you start speaking more and try to catch up with them.
I'm doing that
right
now.
You're on right track. Then you're on right track. Also, I think this is the end of it, and I just want to share that once again, I work for FIU in DC. So if you're ever interested in opportunities in DC, please let me know. I'll be leaving my card too. So if you go to our FIU DC website, we do have fly-in programs where you pay, if you get accepted, you pay $100 and you got a free trip to DC because we cover everything. That's one thing. But we have different topics like health policy, future of Latin America and Caribbean, etc. And then we also have Hamilton Scholar Program, which is a scholarship program that if you're interested in, I'll be happy to tell you more about it. And then once again, internships. There are plenty of it. You can do summer internship, 1 semester in DC, like that. So that's
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
So Hamilton especially is an absolutely fantastic opportunity. So Hamilton Hmway happens for the entire semester. They've got an internship. They take a couple classes in FIU and DC.
Yes.
That's what it is. So it's the full semester that you're there. And what I'll say about DC, especially like as we're having this conversation about Miami and cultural dissonance in Miami and Spanish, DC is also itself just like a whole nother mix of different cultures from around the world in a way that doesn't necessarily happen in our local community. So highly encourage travel within the U.S. also. It's very culturally different.
Oh, I'm going to leave my business card here and chocolates too. We got some chocolates. Valentine's Day.
Okay, so as we wrap up today, just a few quick reminders. There's a GL at FIU session tomorrow, a GL info session tomorrow if you are interested in learning more. And I will be around for a little while after today's session. You can join us again next week. Another interesting talk. We have the federal lead for the Florida Immigrant Coalition, coming to talk about the state of DACA and Dreamers and the ways that the system itself is kind of evolving and changing, and what states are doing at the state and local level to kind of piecemeal together back the DREAM Act and protect immigrants in that way. So that happens next week, same time, same place, here in GC 150 at 12:30 on Tuesday. Other than that, it was a wonderful joy to have you all here today. One more round of applause for our speaker. And enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you.